Hello and welcome to Taffy Crafting. I've got a new project for you today. I don't do a lot of card making, but I thought it would make a change. We've got snow here at the moment where I live, and not been able to get out of the house. Work has been closed, so I've been able to do some crafting, so I made a card. I should really be making Christmas cards because at the time of filming we're about 2 weeks away from Christmas, but I'm kind of just in denial about all of that and haven't made any Christmas cards yet. So I've made something that's the most un-Christmassy card ever. But the reason I've done this is that I wanted to use my favourite stamp sets again. I haven't used these in ages. And the stamp sets are, it's the Remarkable You stamp set with just these beautiful flowers. And the other thing that I'm going to use as well in this project are my watercolour pencils, which are just lovely when you use them with the blender pens. So I'm going to show you that today as well. So without further ado, let's get going with this and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a blank card. I'm really lazy when it comes to cards, and I just buy a set of 50 blank cards with 50 envelopes. They're already pre-folded, so I don't get that bit wrong, and also I get an envelope that fits. Oh, sorry, I was just adjusting the camera there because the light was flickering. There we are, sorry about that. So I'm just going to take a blank card, and I have got my stamp already loaded up on my block. I've noticed it's a bit on the dirty side, so I'm just going to give that a quick, talk about being unprepared. So I'm just going to give that a quick clean up there. Right, so the ink colour that I'm going to be using for this is Old Olive, which is a beautiful green colour. So I've got my stamp block, my biggest stamp block because this is a big stamp. I've got my blank card and I've got my ink, and I'm just going to load that up with some ink there, and I'm just going to stamp some leaves on this card. I'm not worried about coming into the middle because that's going to be cut out with a circle. I'll show you how I'm going to die cut that shortly. So I'm just going to put these leaves all around the card. See how vibrant that green colour is? It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm just using my grid paper just where I'm stamping off the card, and then just enough room to put that one in there. So I've got those stamped. Just close that ink pad up before I have a nasty accident with that. So that's the first part of that done. The next thing I'm going to do is a little bit of colouring. So these are the colours that we have in the watercolour pencils, a really nice variety of colours, but these also match the inks as well. So I've got the Old Olive ink, and we've got an Old Olive pencil as well. But these also work nicely if you have stamped something in basic black, and then colouring it in works just as well. And I'm also going to show you what I've done with regard to this. I've also stamped it in Versamark and heat embossed it for the flower that's inside. So lots of different things that you can do with that stamp. Now what I'm going to do now is take my watercolour pencil. I'm just going to show you with one of these because it takes ages and you don't want to sit here watching me colour in goodness knows how many leaves. So I'll just show you on a few of the leaves here, and then I've got one that I've prepared earlier. So you don't need any fancy colouring here. I am not an artist. I am not in any way artistic, and I have no idea when it comes to shading in darker or lighter to show any particular light or anything like that. I've no idea whatsoever. And all I'm doing is very roughly colouring in here. And I could go darker if I wanted to, just press a little bit harder. So I could press a little bit harder there. These are quite robust pencils. So I could do that one a little bit darker because leaves aren't all the same shade of green. And then we'll go back to lighter on this one. So I'll just do a few of those there like that so you can see. So I've coloured those few in there. And then I take my blender pen, and you can use these on all different colours. They are, that's just blank, and I just wipe off any excess colour that's there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is then just blend those pencil marks, because when we colour we do leave pencil marks, and with these blender pens that just takes it away. You don't want to press too hard with this. You don't want to make your card too wet or too damp. And I'm just going around all of those now and just blending those lines in. Yes, it does take some extra time, but it's just a really lovely way of doing things, and crafting is supposed to be really good for the mind. I have quite a stressful daytime job, and sometimes it's nice to come home and do some crafting when I probably should be doing some marking, and just creating something like this that's really nice. And then I get to share that with other people by sending somebody a card or a piece of artwork that I've done. So I would go around and do all of those, and there's one that I've already done. So the next thing that I need to do, going back to our original card, the next thing I need to do is then cut a hole in here. So I'm going to do that using my favourite set of dies, which are the stitched framelit dies. Let me just show you these. So we've got dies in 3 different shapes. So we've got squares, we've got ovals, and we have circles as well. So I'm going to be using the circle for this project. And they also come in 3 different sizes. Is it 3? Or is it 4? 4 different sizes. And then when you cut them out, it gives this really lovely, if you're actually going to use the actual oval, what I'm going to do here is just actually cut a circle out of here. But if you were to cut this out and use this shape, it gives a stitched effect around the shape. I'm just trying to see if I've got something here that I can show you. I haven't got anything to hand. If I think of something, I'll get it so you can see it. But these are lovely, so versatile. Really, really get your money's worth on these. So they're the stitch framelit dies. So I'm going to be using the big circle one, or the big round one, and I'm going to need my big shot for that, which is just down here. So hopefully you'll be able to see this on camera, because this now gets incredibly close up. So there's my big shot. Just going to take these plates out of here. So I'm going to put my card in there, and I'm then going to put that there. So I'm just going to put that in the position in which I want it to be, as central as possible. You could stick that down if you want to. I've got some masking tape here that I'm just going to stick it down very slightly. I had a bit of a disaster with this yesterday, in that I stuck it down, but the masking tape went onto this side, and then when I took it off, because it had been die cut through the big shot, it had then pressed the masking tape right into the paper. So when I tried to lift it off, it all came away and it almost ruined the card. So what I'm going to do, because this middle section is coming out, I'm just going to attach that onto there like that. I'm not going to put the masking tape the other side of the die. So that's that in place. I know that's not going to move. Put my other plate on there. And then I'm going to send that through the machine. Right, get rid of that. So there you can see the, let's cut a circle out of there. And I'll show you what I mean with regards to this masking tape. Look, it just pulls it away. And that's because it's gone through the big shot. When I tested this yesterday, I put some masking tape on the paper. on the card rather, it came straight off, didn't leave a mark. But once it's gone through the big shot, because of all of that pressure, it's then just making it really stick to the paper. So be mindful of that. The ideal way of getting around that is having magnetic plates on your big shot, but I haven't got any of those. So there's my card. It's got a circle in there. So now I need to put, so let's go back to my original one. So now I need to put the flower in there. So what I want to do is get my flower stamp, which I have put to one side and cannot find. There it is. So I'm just going to measure where that's going to go. And I'm going to put two very, very small marks in here. Just one under there. This will get covered up by the stamp. And then I'm just going to put another one there, just to give me a rough idea as to where this stamp's going to go. And what I'm going to do is stamp this in Versamark, and you'll see why in a second. I'm just going to load my stamp onto my block. But the first thing before I do that is that I need to prepare the card before I do any heat embossing with my embossing buddy. And I'm just going to prepare the card like that. And it makes a difference if you don't do this. For ages I was wondering why I had lots of smudging on my heat embossed images, and then realised that I hadn't actually prepared the card. It takes away static away from the card that stops the powder sticking to that static. So let's get my Versamark. And I'm just going to load up the stamp with that. So I've got that stamped up with Versamark, and then I'm just going to, keeping an eye on where those two pencil marks are, I'm just going to stamp that in there like that. And then you'll be able to see just slightly where that is. I don't know if you can see that. Let's put that stamp to one side, put my Versamark away before I stick my hands in it. Then the next part is I'm going to get my silver powder, and I'm just going to tip that over it like that, everywhere where I've got that Versamark. Get some scrap paper, and then just tap that off there. Do not touch that when it's like that, because it will just come straight off. We need to do something to this now. The magical bit is what I call it. Right, just want to get rid of this powder. And for this next bit, we're going to need our heat tool. So it'll be a bit of noise now, sorry about that, but watch what happens to this once we heat it up. I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera, but what happens is that the heat just melts this embossing powder. It takes a couple of seconds and there it goes. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. I always think it's just magic. Not sure if it goes all the way around. And there we have that. Now the next thing I want to do, a little bit more colouring, and I'm just going to colour inside. This is Rich Razzleberry, this one, and I'm just going to go inside all of those all of those gaps. No special colouring going on here, just filling these gaps with some colour. And you could use any colour on this. There are also different embossing powder colours. There's gold, there's copper, and there's the silver. And then it's whatever colours are your favourite out of these watercolour pens. Oh, sorry, watercolour pencils. And the great thing as well about where this has been heat embossed is that it forms a barrier where your colouring is. So it keeps it nice and neat. So there we go, bit of colouring. Let's get my blender pen back. And I'm just going to very quickly just blend all of that colour. And again, petals aren't all the same colours. You know, some are lighter, some are darker. You see how that just blends that colour in there. Just a really lovely thing to do on a really snowy day. We're still snowed under here. 8 inches of snow has fallen in the last few days. Had to dig our cars out yesterday, only to then find out that the road is still completely impassable. So I thought, oh, what a shame. I'm going to have to stay in and do some crafting. And there we go. So when I close this, beautifully centred. One last thing to do. I just want to put sentiment in this. So I've got the Happy Birthday Gorgeous stamp set. Which I'm just going to put on a block. Line that up, and then I'm going to use basic black. And then so that it doesn't appear within the window, I'm just going to put this quite low down there, lining it up with the bottom of the card. That could be stamped a little bit better, but I think I probably need some more ink for my ink pad. So there we have it. A very pretty birthday card, showing off some different techniques. Whoever receives this card hopefully will just be amazed by all the different techniques that you put on here. So we've got some stamping, some pencil colour blending, and some heat embossing as well. So I hope you've liked this tutorial. If you want to leave a comment in the comments box, then that's absolutely fine. And then also if you want to subscribe to any future videos, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.